Hi there, hope you're all doing well. I am trying out an Empire color scheme this week. I'm using the Empire Captain from onepagerules for the test. She was black and white Zenithal primed, and I get started on the main color of Amethyst purple for her cloak. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below. You can also join Discord using the link in the description, where you can share anything you have been working on. To start highlighting up the cloak, I use Sorcerer's Cloak. This is going over all of the raised parts that are facing upwards. The shape of the sculpt is a bit weird though, and in terms of painting anyway, because realistically, everything on top of the cloak is just going to be the brightest highlight color. There won't really be any shadows on there. But then I do also feel that will be quite boring for the table, so I'm adding a few bits of variation just to make it a bit more interesting. Finishing the cloak off, I used Runic purple for the sharp edges and a highlight inside the previous one. I keep this pretty thin to try and create a bit more of a variation and a bit more of a gradient going up instead of just a sharp change in colour. With the cloak now finished, I moved on to her boots, gloves and leather straps using Death Reaper. For her face, I went for a base coat of Barbarian Brawn. The remaining clothing gets done with Wizard Grey, and since I had this out, I used it to highlight the boots and gloves at the same time. To highlight up her face, I used Dwarven skin, bringing up all of those raised parts. Finishing the base coats off, I grabbed plate armour and went over all of the metal parts on the Mini. The first highlight on her clothing is done with pale grey. I essentially went over everything except for the deepest of folds. Breaking up some of that silver, I grabbed rusty gold, adding some details just to help some bits stand out against that silver. I have her based on a city street, so this gets a quick once over with Dungeon Stone Grey. And since I forgot to highlight up all of the leather straps earlier, I use this now to go over them and just add a bit of a highlight. The bulk of her clothing was too dark for my liking, so I grabbed silver grey and went over the majority of the highlights to really bring them up and make them look a more off-white colour. Highlighting up the gold parts, I used AK Interactive's gold. There isn't much difference going over these, but they just add a bit more variation, adds a bit more sort of brightness to them. For more metallic highlights, I used Mythril Blade to bring up some of the silver edges and some of the gold tips just to really sell that shine. I realised there was a drain on the base, so I grabbed rough iron and gave this a quick once over. Now onto the washes, I get started with flesh wash over her face, feathers and the bricks on the base. Everything else now except for her cloak gets a wash of Oblivion black wash. I don't really want to wash the cloak, as with the way it's sculpted it will just pool up in weird places. Now the washes are dry, I want to bring up her face again with some Dwarven skin, just to bring up the very tips of those raised parts. want her clothing to be brighter as well, so I went back over some of those raised parts with silver grey again. Finishing up, I used Doom Death Black for the base rim and just to finish off her eyes. And that will be it for the Empire Captain. I like everything about this mini except for that cloak. It just feels way too weird of a sculpt for me, and I don't really like the way I had to paint it. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below. You can also join Discord using the link in the description, where you can share anything you have been working on. As always, if you want a closer look at this mini, check out my Instagram page. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Most importantly though, be kind to each other.